Welcome to London City Council meeting. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silent reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, could you please take the roll call?
Eads. Here. Peters.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Hayes.
Present.
Hitt.
Here.
Stahl.
Present.
Smith.
Good to see everyone this evening. Have you had a chance to take a look at the minutes from our last meeting? All right, any changes, corrections, questions? All right. All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, minutes carry. On to communications and announcements. This evening, we have a representative from Aqua. His name is Mr. Tony. If you go ahead to the podium and just state your name. Tony Mankari, correct? Yes, sir. All right, just state your name, address, and please go ahead with your presentation. He's already met with Anthony Smith, and unfortunately, Anthony is not here this evening. And Mr. Brent McDaniels, he originally brought an idea to us, if you remember, about privatizing the water for the city. But Tony Mankari, he is here with Aqua, and this would be one of the companies we take a look at if this is something that we are interested in. He has a lot of good information.
Yeah, good evening, council. My name is Tony Mankari. My home of record is Mentor, Ohio. And I'm pleased to be here and thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. I'm the Director of Municipal Services for Aqua, Ohio. We are an American company over 130 years old. We've been in Ohio for 100 years, serving nearly 500,000 people in the Great Buckeye State. As the councilman discussed, I had the opportunity to speak with Councilman Smith and Mr. McDaniels last week and shed some light a little bit about who Aqua is, what we do, and the options that we provide communities. Out of that meeting, really what Councilman Smith wanted to understand was what we do and really what value could we bring to the community. And after discussing with him, he suggested that I come to you all and take a little bit of time to explain the history of Aqua, where we serve, what we do, and drive towards what we think may be a good first step to help you ultimately explore options. Because at the end of the day, you as elected officials have to make the best decision for your constituents, for your community. And all we're asking to do at this time is really afford an opportunity to collaborate with your consulting engineers, to collaborate with your staff, and to do a very high-level due diligence whereby we could come back and provide a letter of interest. And within that letter of interest would be things such as what we think we could acquire or purchase your system for, and in the purchase of that system would be at or above what your current debt is. We would talk about the ongoing infrastructure needs and the commitment that we would make to making sure those infrastructure needs were met. Every year, Aqua invests about $50 million throughout our service territories. So Aqua Ohio is part of Aqua America, which falls under Essential Utilities, which is headquartered out of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. We own and operate gas, natural gas, water, and wastewater systems. Ohio is the second largest water and wastewater system in the Essential portfolio. Like I said, we've been here over 100 years, serving 500,000 people. We own and operate the water and/or sewer systems in Ashtabula, Mentor, Marion, Massillon, Tiffin, the parts of Boardman, Struthers, some unincorporated areas of Franklin County, some smaller areas out to the west, and then all the way down to within Lawrence County. And as a regulated utility, we're not only regulated by the Ohio EPA, similar to what government or municipal-run utilities are, but we're also regulated by the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. So they provide an extra level of oversight and requirements and regulations to ensure that our customers are getting the best service for the dollars that they pay. Going back to the letter of interest, oftentimes communities ask really kind of like three questions. You know, what do you think you could acquire my system for? Is it an all or nothing proposition whereby it has to be the water and sewer, or can we partner in some way? And what happens to the employees? So I did want to touch on all three of that, right? We want to make sure that any offer we would make makes sense by you. And makes sense by you, that also means, is it affordable, right? In theory, we could offer $100 million for a utility, but the ratepayers aren't going to be able to cover that, right? So we are trying to balance what makes sense, what's your debt, what is the asset worth, what are the capital needs that need to go into the system. And I understand that London, you know, that right now you're kind of poised to make some critical decisions about infrastructure improvements. And some of that's a good problem to have, right? Because it's being driven by growth potential and also compliance needs. So what we're asking is, maybe before you pull the trigger on encumbering that money, allow us the opportunity to come in, work with your consulting engineers and your staff, and provide that letter of interest that is done via a high-level due diligence. If we had good access to financial information and also operational information, and we're able to spend half a day looking at your utilities, in short order, 4 to 6 weeks, we would be confident that we could come back and say, this is something for your consideration. And we'd give it to council and gladly answer any questions that you may have. In some communities, say, hey, this is great. We really want to further explore this. Let's put it out to bid. There's nothing, we're not bound to act on that bid. We receive bids. And if council so chooses to then act on that bid, then so be it. But at least by formally bidding it, they understand what's it worth, what our rate's going to look like, what are the capital investments, and importantly, what happens, you know, to our people. So let me talk about employees. We understand employees are the backbone of any organization. And I think sometimes there's misinformation or probably misperception that being a regulated utility, a non-governmental utility, a private utility, that if we're going to come in, that we're going to cut employees, we're going to cut costs, that is going to impact the bottom line. But that's not true. We understand that we need those employees. And every offer that we've ever made, that we agree to take all the employees from the municipality. Furthermore, pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, municipal utility employees who are hired by Aqua as part of an acquisition are eligible to continue to contribute, along with us, we would contribute the city's portion to their Ohio Public Employee Retirement System benefits. So those employees maybe who are 5, 6, 7 years away from being vested in OPRs wouldn't have to be concerned about, I came up 5, 6, 7 years short. We through this statute are allowed to take them on as our employees, but work with the city and those employees, should they elect, to continue their OPR's contribution. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. There's a lot of information that I have within this packet, and I do want to be sensitive to the time requirements. at the end of the day, all that's required to develop a letter of interest that I think is in your municipality's best interest to have one more option at the table when deciding what the future of utility is. And furthermore, really what the future of your growth and economic development in the city is we're asking the opportunity to meet with the BPU, to meet with your staff, tour your facilities, and review the current plans and strategies with your consulting engineers. We know Burgess and Nyepel have a plan. They've done extensive studies. They're a well-renowned firm. We work with consulting firms, to include BNN, all over the state where we're doing work. We would need them to sit down with them, right? We're not taking that work from them. We're supplementing their analysis to collaborate on, hey, is there something, a different way that we can do it? You as the design engineers, us with our bench strength that we have in the economies of scale, how can we leverage that to help the community and the customers? Ultimately, what's best for your community is best decided by your community and the elected officials, but we feel we can provide you options and support future growth and help position yourself for whatever future the city would like to consider. So with that, council, I'll gladly answer any questions, but I did not want to take any more of the allotted time.
All right, thank you. Any questions? I know one of the questions I had was about the employees, and you did answer that, saying that you do hire the current city employees and even continue the OPERS. I didn't know that part there. And then also, too, that you would possibly, if you would purchase the current city assets. That's, now, is there a dividend, too, that you pay back to the city, or?
So when we're going through this now with two communities, and there's a case study for the city of Campbell in there as well.
Right.
So we outright, in that situation, we outright acquire the system. We assume the operational responsibility, 365, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And in turn, the city gets the proceeds. If there's debt remaining, the city has to basically settle or defease that debt, whatever the remaining debt is, and then anything above that becomes, goes to the city. And for instance, like the city of Campbell, when they did it, they no longer had that enterprise fund for water, so anything sitting in that enterprise fund could then be reallocated to the general fund. And from what I understand, they were able to put it into an interest-bearing account, and then by resolution said, hey, every year we're gonna give the mayor X amount of money out of here to do that. We're working with another community, the same thing. We're going to settle their debt. They're deciding now how much proceeds they want above the settlement of debt, again, because more proceeds, requires, a higher rate. So we work with the community to say what makes sense, especially considering, if you all have $16-17 million of wastewater and water improvements, how do we balance that with your debt and everything else? And that's what the letter of interest would do. We would lay that all out and say, hey, is this something you think would be worth further exploring? And if not, at least you made a informed decision on how you wanted to proceed.
All right, thank you.
So when you say you're buying all of our infrastructure, that's all of our infrastructure. That includes 100-year-old pipes, right? I mean, if you're buying all of our storm sisters or sanitary sewers, I should say, sanitary sewers and water lines, you're buying that lock, stock, and barrel. Anything that the city currently has responsibility for and owns, you would then take on those responsibilities.
Yes, sir. We would.
Or it could be worked
Right.
out that way.
That's how it would work out, right? Typically, when the assets are transferred, it's everything, right? It's the treatment, it's the distribution for the water, the booster stations, it's on the sewer side, it's the treatment plant, it's the collection system, the lift stations, everything. Unless the city came back and said, we really don't want that, we need a new plant. And I don't think this is the case for you or your city, but we need a new plant. Aqua, will you build us a new plant? We'll keep everything else, but you build us a new plant, and then we'll develop kind of a contract of how that would work.
Okay? And then the land, you're purchasing the land also, or is that, the city still own the land, lease it to you? Is that somehow,
That's usually worked out, because
Okay.
sometimes the water plant or the wastewater plant has a service garage or something else on there that the city says, we still want to maintain access. So we would work out those onesies and twosies where, we would lease that with, as long as we had unrestricted rights to get to where we needed to that facility. But if it was just strictly, for the sake of these other ones that we have done or we are doing, we buy that, that's part of the asset, is the land associated with that.
and what about planned expansions? So there's three pieces tonight that I can at least think that's what it is, three pieces tonight. One is to possibly enter into a contract for engineering for an east side trunk sewer project, which is not in place yet. But if we go into that and that's planned and we want to do that, I mean, is that gonna be the city's responsibility to put that in? Then you're buying that asset or the debt or however that gets worked out. That's planned. That hasn't happened yet, right? And we have two other pieces that are being introduced for the first time tonight to take care of some stormwater issues, but on the south side. And I'm assuming stormwater's not part of that because that's not part of our Board of Public Utilities. So any stormwater issues would still be the City of London's issues.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Unless, we always find there's incidental areas where stormwater and sanitary are kind of joined at the hip. But yes, we are not regulated to do stormwater.
Okay? Thank you.
Any other questions?
Henry, I got just a couple
Yes.
of quick ones, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for coming out. So I'm just trying to get this straight. So you guys would come in and quote-unquote purchase what we have, but you usually purchase it at whatever the debt is, right?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go, no.
We would purchase it typically at least at what the debt is. Because it doesn't make sense, if your debt's 20 million and we offer you 10, you still have $10 million that you have to. So typically, we would purchase it at or above. Oftentimes, communities have very little debt. And, for instance, Campbell, I think, had $1.5 million in debt, and we paid 7.5, so there was proceeds left. But I would say
But typically, it's, you guys pay the debt off. It sounds like what you're saying is typically you guys pay the debt off, and it's just kind of the relief of the city not having to deal with the water and sewer.
correct. We would give you at least that, but we would explore options to say, hey, we could probably pay more, and here's
Okay.
why. And it's also a function of what is your book value? I'm sorry, you're the mayor, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Mayor, what we do is we give you the money so that then you can settle the debt.
Yes, right, because the debt's in our name,
The
correct?
debt's in your name, and there's certain, like, for instance, OWDA,
Right.
those bonds are, if it's a 20-year bond, you can't call that bond early per se. So whatever the remaining principal plus interest is, you can settle that debt, but it goes into escrow. And then every year, you pay out of that escrow until that debt's settled, because that's the way that bond is structured. It's guaranteed for the life of that for 20 years. OPWC, you can call the principal at any time, from my
Right.
understanding.
So you guys, you said you guys serve about 500,000 people in total. Do you know off the top of your head how many is for water and how many is for sewer? Because it sounded like you did gas or something also.
So we don't do gas in Ohio.
oh,
but our
I'm sorry.
Our parent company
Is
does.
that 500,000 people in Ohio?
It's 500,000 people in Ohio, so it's about, there's about 150,000 water connections, 150,000 water connections, and about 8,000 sewer connections. So if you do the per capita per household, that's about a
Yeah.
500,000 people.
Gotcha. Do you know what, like, your average rates are for water and sewer?
So each rate in each area could be different based on the system, the age of the system. So an average water bill for somebody using 4,000 gallons is probably around $48. And I can get that information to you, Mayor.
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of, I was just
And
kind
in some areas, that's a little higher, in some areas, that's a little less. And this is a dynamic, it's a good conversation to have. In Ohio, rate making can be done two different ways. You can locally negotiate rates. In other words, I could come to council and say, here's a 5-year rate package, here are my operating expenses, here's the capital I think I need to put in, and these are the rates I think we need. And then council and us, and we would negotiate that, and then council via ordinance would order those rates in. We're still regulated by the utility commission on all other aspects, but the utility commission, because rates were established by an elected body, they say we're not gonna make rates. The other way to make rates is the utility commission, we have a rate case whereby the utility commission makes the rates for that area. There's pros and cons to both. The locally negotiated rate scheme, for some communities, council really likes being part of it. They want to feel like they have a say in it. But if I got to put $15 million into your community, the only people that I can tap to pay that $15 million is your 8,000, 10,000 people in your community. If rates are made by the Public Utilities Commission, you're part of a larger pool, a pool of about 90,000 customers right now. So just like a lot of things that are done now, right? I mean, today you're paying for a bridge in Maine, and tomorrow they're paying for your paving out here. The pool of customers across 90,000, we're able to spread the cost. So $15 million is shared among the 90,000 rather than just the 10,000 within London.
And then, so you said around $48 for 4,000 gallons of water. What's sewer average, you think, if on that 4,000?
I'll get you an answer on that.
Have you seen our rates?
I saw the rates that you currently have right now.
What are your thoughts on our current
I
rates?
think your rates are low.
Yeah.
I think honestly, your rates are low for the cost of providing clean, reliable drinking water in a very, very rigid and rigorous compliance world. That for water and sewer, I think they're low. And I think more and more communities are realizing, like, hey, this is the cost of business.
All right. And then my last question, I'm sorry,
Okay.
President.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So we talked about the improvements. So you will have employees here, so there will be boots on the ground in a sense. Who identifies, so would everybody be identifying like big projects, like say, hey, we need to expand this, or we need to run water lines out there, and then we would just come to you and be like, hey, we need to do this project because we want to build more houses out this way. And then you guys would do all the engineering and all that, and
Right, so we would, first and foremost, like we do in other communities, we would collaborate on a routine basis, whether it's quarterly, every 6 months, and go in and talk to the city engineer or the mayor, whomever, the manager, and say, what projects, and a lot of times it's like paving, like, hey, you guys just got money to go pave this road, and we're not scheduled to replace the water main until 3 years from now. Well, nobody wants a water main to
Right.
blow up after you pave it. So we do that coordination. And then you would say, hey, we have a new development going, and, what can you all do to extend the utilities? First and foremost, we're gonna make sure that we're compliant. Like, all our capital, the priority for our capital is to make sure that we're compliant with the EPA requirements, and that service and reliability of service is maintained. But we have in-house engineers, but oftentimes for bigger projects, we farm out. If London likes Burgess and Nyepel, we'll say, hey, Burgess and Nyepel, we need to do a plant expansion. Let's sit down and collaborate on what we want. Oftentimes, what we see is we have a tendency to do it incrementally, right? To make it, to help offset the affordability issue or the rate issue by doing improvements incrementally.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a lot of times, and this isn't a ding against the consultants, but, every 10 years they go and take a big bite at the apple.
Right.
And make that improvement, whereas we have the bench strength to say, let's plan this out over 5 years.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, say you guys took over and you were here, and in 5 years, we came to you and said, hey, we don't have enough water capacity in this area, and we need to get a bigger line out there. At that point, who incurs that debt? Do we incur the debt, or Aqua incurs the debt?
No, we would.
Now, it's a little bit about control. So, you guys could possibly be like, no, we're not going to do that right now.
Sure.
We think that needs to be held off for a little bit. We'll come back, like you said, we'll do a little bit here, and then in 5 years, so that's,
Sure. Like you said, it's a matter of how do we communicate, and at the end of the day, if there was a capacity issue, I would hope, and I'm confident, we would recognize it right away. In fact, we would be coming to you and saying, the 12-inch water main's not enough, we need to go to a 16, and we're gonna have to build an elevated storage tank out there because residential growth is going, and we need fire protection, and, so we would be working with your team, but ultimately, because we own the utility, we have to have the say in how to best invest that.
Right.
But it's done collaboratively.
that's what I assumed. I just didn't know because, the current debt, you were talking about, you would give us money, we would then pay the current debt as we're doing. So I didn't know if we would have to incur the debt and then do it the same way.
No.
That was my question.
Once
Thank
you
you.
divest yourself of the utility,
Yeah, okay.
It's-
Anything from that point on.
It's our utility, it's our headache, it's, it's our risk. And as I tell a lot of communities, we gotta kind of flip it on the head. A lot of people, rightfully so, say, well, if I do this, I'm giving something up. And I would encourage you to think about it. What do I gain if I no longer have to worry about this? What can I now focus? What do I have the capacity, the bandwidth, and resources to focus on if I don't have to worry about, running a sewer plant or running a water plant?
All right, any further questions?
And then you mentioned something about
Okay.
coming to council with all the monthly fees or whatnot. Now, is that every time they raise or something, you come to council with that, or like a 5-year plan?
So,
or-
yeah, typically a 3 to 5 year plan. We would come to council and we would say, we think we need rates to increase, this much over this period of time, and here's what substantiates it. We need to put in $12 million of this, inflationary operational adjustments, cost of labor has gone up, and then we would come to council and say, this is what we propose. Or council may say, just punt that down to the utility commission and let the utility commission establish the rates through their very rigorous process.
So basically, you won't come out and say, all right, rates are going to change, 3 months from now, or
No,
Yep.
we can't arbitrarily
just
do
raise
that. And
rates?
if
Yep.
for some reason, if council, if we were at a point where we couldn't be in agreement, that's why you have the utility commission.
Okay, that was gonna be my
Yeah.
question. So if you brought it and they said, nope, we're not doing rate increases right now, then you would take it back to the utilities?
the- yeah.
I got
Well,
you.
in the area, we do this, and we locally negotiate in Maslin and down in the Boardman Struthers area. I don't recall ever us going to the public utility, and we've been doing that for many, 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 many years, right? I mean, they understand, like, this is kind of the cost of running the utility, and we're prudent in the investment we make, and we, we spend those dollars wisely.
So our Board of Public Utilities would cease to exist at that point, or would they still exist to help council on this, or would there even be a need? I don't know.
Sir, that, I couldn't answer whatever kind of your ordinances say, or, the charter says. But we would work with any entity, whether it's directly with council or some committee or board, to, stay in routine communication and provide routine updates to council once a month, once a quarter, of, hey, here's what's going on with your utility.
So everybody that works in the office down there, the ladies who work in the office down there, they would still have positions?
Or they're like billing
Yes.
folks? So billing personnel, we look at a case-by-case basis, and the reason why is we have that consolidated, right? And, have those economies where we run call centers and billing centers out of one. But if the community says, as part of this deal, you have to do this, and that's kind of, a stipulation in the asset purchase agreement, then we would work to do that. It's just, anytime you're inducing other overheads that are redundant, it costs more money than unfortunately, the ratepayer would have to pay for that. So we would work with whatever the city thought was appropriate.
Okay.
Do the employees that you retain, do they retain their current wages also?
So it depends on if they elect their PERS or not. So I'm not sure, yeah, I believe your laborers are unionized, right? So we have operating engineers and utilities workers within the areas we serve. So for the employees that elect to keep their PERS, we mirror what they're currently paid. And in fact, we gross it up, because the one condition for the employees that keep their PERS is they have to pay FICA now. They got to pay Social Security under this revised code construct. So we gross their wages up so that at least they're not losing any money when they come over. Some employees, the younger ones, say, I like where your union wages are. They're higher than what the government wages are. I'd rather take that or negotiate that with that collective bargaining agreement, and we'll take your 401K. But the bottom line, sir, is nobody's gonna be out of pocket because of a deal.
And for the other areas that you handle, do you have any idea what kind of rate increases they've had annually on average? Or?
So we typically, we just came out of a rate case, and I think it was 6 to 8%. And that was, and then every 12 to 18 months, somewhere to between 3 and 4%. Because but we're investing $50 million a year. So, that's what we typically do, and then but it would be dependent on, again, your community, what made sense. In the letter of interest, we would have the opportunity, at least to talk about high level, where we think, the rates could be. But I understand it's a sensitive topic, and it's something that communities need to look at, but, we strive to be very, very competitive, but at the same time, recognizing we invest a lot of money every year in those infrastructure upgrades, and there's a cost to that.
So, you said the rates would be divvied up between all the people that you manage, is that right?
So
The 90,000?
if we built kind of the proposal, and this is like way down the road, right? You put it out to bid and you like the bid, and council says, we want to be part of the Public Utility Commission of Ohio's rate pool, we would put you in there at a rate. It may be the same rate of somebody else, or it may be your own, depending on whatever, and then that you would be part of that big pool.
To kind of minimize the
And
increase.
right, it helps spread, you know, the cost while being able to leverage, you know, more customers to make more investment.
So the letter of interest that you may generate, I don't know what all goes into that, but you said you would want to look at our facilities and look at our books, and that's prior to the letter of interest, or that's prior to submitting a bid?
Yes, sir. So we would like to, prior to giving you a letter of interest,
Okay?
if we could gather some, I call it preliminary due diligence information, and then we come and talk to your staff and your engineers and, you know, sit down and say, okay, kind of where are your needs, right? Because we know in a day, we don't want to be here for 5 days because that ties up your people. We want to be here for half a day, high level. This is about where we think it is. We give you a letter of interest. I come back to you and I say, this is what we found. And if you like what you hear, then the next step would be, all right, we're going to formally put this out to bid.
Okay, so that letter of interest, where you just got to on that, on what we found, so that's in the letter of interest. You may say, we found that your facilities seem to be up-to-date, well-maintained, or you may say, in your letter of interest, we think that your facilities are gonna have to be replaced very soon. And that actually would give the administration, council, and everybody some information that we may not have had outside viewpoints on.
That's right. And it wouldn't be as detailed as, I'm gonna say as a consultant, right, who's been studying it.
Right.
But we would say in general, we think, you know, your sewer trunk main, we need to replace this. We think at your water plant, in order to address the ammonia issue, we think we would do it, this is how we would do it. But that wouldn't be done in a vacuum, because we need the input from your staff and your employees and your consultants. But if we have access to that, we can at least provide you one more option to consider.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, I can see from all the discussion that we had, this is a very interesting topic. It's really good information here. I'm glad that, you know, you did make it out this evening. Thank you again, Mr. McDaniels, for following that up in several different council meetings. And of course, thank Anthony Smith as well for meeting with you, and look forward to speaking further on this in BPU.
Yep. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. All right, on to our audience concerns. We have Anita Likens.
Welcome back, Anita.
Yes.
Thank you. I missed you all in October. It was unfortunate, though, I was unable to make it. But first of all, if I could preface, thank you for a very articulate and professional presentation on your ideas and what you're doing. One of the things, and I think many of you know, I have traveled across the country and lived in San Francisco and Los Angeles and Burbank and just about anywhere you wouldn't want to go. But anyhow, I've been around, and when I came to London, I noticed the water and sewer rates were like, really? This is it? And it's my understanding, if I may make a couple observations on what you said, it is my understanding that part of our BPU has worked just on a break-even perspective. We really don't have capital for further improvements. Is that my understanding? The rates are based on, basically, this is how much it costs us to do. We're not going to make any money. This is where we're going to go. It's a break-even proposition. Is that a correct assumption?
That is that's what I ascertained myself.
Very good. So there's probably a few things that we'll need to bite the bullet on should we go with some sort of outside service in order to take care of capital improvements, things that have not been done in the past. And again, I guess I should have said Anita Likens, 157 East First Street. But So that was one observation. The second observation I had, and maybe you'll want to come back up and address that, is by buying out the debt, my understanding would be then, even though we are the debtors for that particular item, there would be some sort of a contractual stipulation as far as full unencumbered release. Even though that debt is still out there, the assets, the land, whatever is out there would be totally unencumbered once you pay that off. That would be in the contractual stipulations, I'm assuming. So I just think of any time that at a bank, if we were paying off someone's debt and just handing them a check, there was a follow-up on contingency to make sure that debtor paid off that debt so that we
Right.
didn't find that coming back to haunt us. But enough of that. Now the important stuff. The Declaration of Independence. I will use my few remaining minutes for that. I'm going to read over the next few weeks, maybe even a couple months, a presentation by Clyde Hughes. He graduated with a Master of Art, or a Bachelor of Arts from Cedarville College. He's a local resident here. He is also a rifleman involved with the Dayton Veterans Cemetery, where they do the Honor Guard presentations. He's a draftsman. He was unable to be here, but he wrote something on the Declaration of Independence, and I think it's worthy. It actually lasts about 40 minutes. So like I said, you're going to hear from me over an extended period of time on this reading, all right? If I may, it starts out, Isaiah 61:1. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. 1776 wasn't an origination of the concept of freedom. 40 years ago, Mr. Hughes had his little kids wait 5 hours to see an original copy of the Magna Carta, one of the most important documents in the world. Those poor kids. Written in 1215, the people had had enough of tyranny and came together to limit the rights of the King of England. We have granted to God, and by our present charter have confirmed for us and our heirs forever, that the English Church shall be free. One of the authors was the future Archbishop of Canterbury, the highest-ranking religious leader in England. The Magna Carta and the Bible laid the groundwork for this quest for freedom. Fast forwarding, we come to the First Great Awakening with the leaders of George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards. Churches had grown dead, but revival came. From 1740 to 1742, church membership grew from 25,000 to 50,000. Hundreds of new churches were planted, and for the first time, individual colonies here in the United States had a commonality with the other colonies. Princeton, Rutgers, Brown, Dartmouth, and University of Yale were all established as a direct result of the Great Awakening. Most Ivy League schools began as seminaries. Now they are but cesspools of atheism and anti-Americanism. The colonies were joined under the banner of Christ. This unity spurred strength for the upcoming war with Britain, and as it should be, the Great Awakening not only brought the colonies together in the revivals, but also politically. You see, being freed from the chains of sin, it was only logical that the colonists would also want freedom from the tyrants who controlled them. Many of them felt that God could not bless them as long as they were connected to the tyrannical and corrupt British Empire. Thank you. The motto of the Revolutionary War was, "No king but Jesus King." More later.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. On to our committee reports. We'll begin with Mr. Stahl.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Mr. Hitt.
Yeah, I don't have anything new. Our next meeting is the 9th at 5 o'clock in the meeting room over here.
Okay.
As opposed to the 8th. I think it says on the city site the 8th, but it's actually the 9th, Wednesday.
All right, Mr. Hayes.
Concur with Mr. Hitt, and that's all I have.
All right, and that's public safety.
Public safety.
All right.
Well,
Mr. Robinson.
I attended last night's Public Service Committee meeting. I'll go over the Parks and Rec report. First of all, he went through the swimming pool. He wanted to sandblast and paint the pool. He's had a couple companies come out. They haven't committed or submitted any quotes. He did have one show up on Tuesday, which did give a quote. He's still looking for additional quotes to compare. The concrete curb work around the splash pad has been finished. They'll paint it yellow in the springtime before the pool opens. Their fall volleyball league, it wrapped up on October 12th. They made a little over $5,200 in revenues, and their expenses were about just over $1,600. Winter basketball, the registration's still active. I think there's 4 days still left, 5 days. There's 264 kids already signed up. Last year, there was 266. He's thinking within the next 4 or 5 days, there could be 25 or 30. The only constraint with all this is coaches. So if you have a child, or if you want to just volunteer, boys and girls 4th, 5th, and 6th grade is struggling to have coaches sign up and help. Registration is now $85. Player evaluations will be November 7th, and each day will have a different grade, and whether it's boys or girls. So it is all on the website. You still can go onto the website to sign up or come to the community center. The season will start the 14th and ends on the January 15th. He went on to explain about the parks. He could not get the Calhoun Park train painted because when they were planning on doing it, the cold temperatures came in. They were unable to do that. The trash cans for the Merrimack Shelter House, they should be in December sometime in December, I'm sorry. Also, Adam and Landon had gone through the Certified Pool Operators course. They had 6 to 8 hours of their online training. Today, they went through a 6 to 8 hour webinar with Columbus Public Health. And then once all that's finished, they'll have to take a 50-point quiz to obtain their operator's license, which is good for 5 years. That's about all he had. The next public service meeting will be December 7th at 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Peters?
Yeah, attended public service yesterday as well. Street department, some of the things they've done in the past month, they've done some sidewalk repairs, tree trimming. They helped out with some fire hydrant repairs throughout the city, cleaned up some catch basins. They did some mowing on some creek banks, some ditches, the rails the trail. They also attended a snowplow class. They shut down they winterized the bathrooms down at the park and shut off the water at the dog park.
All right, that's all you have? All right, thank you. Mr. Eads?
I also attended the service meeting last night. We had a group come in. We had two people come in, and Mr. Joe Snyder and a local resident, Susan Wilson, who are with the Communication Workers of America. They came in to advise us about the possibility of fiber optic broadband coming, or in Ohio, coming to areas. They would like us to consider, applying for that. Just a few points, that there was $42.5 billion freed up at the national level, however, $2.5 billion in Ohio. Mayor Closser engaged in a conversation. It was brought up that there may be some type of a scoring system, but they're trying to bring this to bigger cities and then very rural communities or rural areas that don't have any broadband now. So we may not even really qualify there. But they did give quite a presentation, if we would like to consider that as a council later on and to apply for that. And I don't want to go into too much detail on that now because we've had a long enough meeting already, right? Thank you.
All right, thank you. One thing I do want to mention, though, they did bring up an affordable connectivity program, and they left some of these flyers, and they're up front here at City Hall if you would like to have those. And it makes Wi-Fi affordable, where they can pay up to $30 per month for discount for internet services, up to $75 a month discount for households on qualifying tribal land. So there's different stipulations. And this is, no matter if we decide to go with a Wi-Fi, with a fiber optic program or not. So this is a really good opportunity for the community to take advantage of having some internet in their area if they don't have it now already, to help to pay for that. Okay, on to city officials report.
All right, well, good evening. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. Appreciate you guys coming out and speaking. We are excited to bring Resolution 20722 and 20822 to you tonight. These two pieces of legislation will be the funding mechanism for the storm sewer project on the south end. This project is based on the engineer study that we had done by Choice One a while back. This will run more and new lines from High Street to the water retention area on the south end. We believe this will help with some of the flooding issues, not only in that area, in the south end area, but all over town. The first piece of legislation, which we are happy to announce, is $700,000 in free OPWC, which is Ohio Public Works Commission, $700,000 in free grant dollars, and the other is for a 0% interest loan from OPWC. This loan will be paid out of the Storm Water Utility Fund. So this is just another step in our continued efforts as administration, as a city council, as a city as a whole, our continued efforts to continue to improve our infrastructure. So very excited about that legislation tonight. If you remember, quite a while back, we did receive a grant for electronic vehicle charging stations. Those are starting to be installed around town. We will have a double charging station in the public parking area in downtown, 2 single charging stations on 2nd Street, and a double charging station at Cowling Park. The Water Department fire hydrant repairs and replacements are coming to a close. At the beginning of this process, we identified 32 fire hydrants that needed repaired and or replaced, and I'm happy to report that we are down to 6. So, out of those final 6, 1 is a private hydrant that the private owner is working on right now. Hope to have that done in about a week. 2 of them are scheduled for repairs. We're just waiting on those parts to come in, which leaves 3. And the 3 that we do have left are functional and operational. It's just that they're older and the fire department would like updated pieces on it to make it easier on them. So really, we're up and running and good to go. So I do want to thank the water department and the street department for all their hard work on getting that completed, all 32 of those hydrants. So in the past month, I was able to attend a conference and some special events. I did attend the Ohio Municipal League's annual conference, which is always very insightful. Was able to learn some new things and talk to other mayors and council members and get some different ideas. So it was a very great conference. If you haven't heard, there is a new restaurant in town, the Mad Cow Bar and Grill. They had their grand opening, and it seems like they've been busy ever since. If you guys have not been able to stop up there and check that out, it's in downtown on High Street. You're missing out because it is fantastic food. It's a great environment, and they're doing great things over there. I was able to join Ohio's First Lady Fran DeWine at Fairhaven School, where they have London's preschool out there. And she came in to read to all the kids and to help bring awareness to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which we do have here in Madison County, which is if kids sign up for it, they're able to receive books all the way up until they're 5 years old, free books that come in the mail. And then also just to help promote literacy, especially with the youngins. Junior Achievement had a career day in Clark County, and they asked me to come over there. I was kind of curious why Junior Achievement would want me to come over there, but they said that they were unable to get a municipality to come and speak. And so they had a career day where I was able to talk to the kids about jobs that municipalities have, the jobs we have, jobs in politics, things like that. So it was a great event, and Junior Achievement's always near and dear to my heart, so I'm always there to help them out. Madison County Chamber of Commerce had a wonderful event, their Bonanza, very well attended. The coolest thing I think of that whole night is that Tolles Technical Center was the ones who catered it. So all the kids were there working while also studying in a way, for their culinary arts. So very neat that they were able to come out, and the food was amazing. If they do have open lunches where you can go to Toll's and eat lunch, if you have time to drive over there one day when they have that, go over there because they make fantastic food. I hosted an ice cream party for Mr. Reeser's fifth grade class. Mr. Boyd, talk to your son a little bit. He came up and introduced himself. Over at London Elementary, they were the class that was able to bring in the most donations for the food drive, canned donations or non-perishables. So they were going to have an ice cream party. I told them that I would take care of it, went out there and hung out with them for a little bit. We did it on Halloween because I didn't know if they'd get enough sugar at night, so I thought I'd give them ice cream at lunch. But speaking of, the most amazing thing that has happened since the last council meeting I have attended is that for the first hour to first hour and 45 minutes of Trick or Treat, there was no rain. So it's been quite a few years coming to have a Trick or Treat where it hasn't rained. So Trick or Treat was fantastic. If you guys were giving out candy or was out and about, it was a beautiful night. And like I said, it started kind of raining just a little bit at around 7:40, 7:45. So it was nice that we were able to finally get a good trick-or-treat night and let all the kids get out. And it was packed all over town. So besides that, there's more trunk-or-treats now around here than I've ever seen before. I would say there was probably 6, 7, 8 trunk-or-treats all around town, which I want to thank all those people who organize those because, as we know, with busy schedules, sometimes people can't get out and they could do it maybe 2 days before, the day after, the day before, or whatever. And there was plenty of opportunities for the kiddos to get out there and get them some candy. I do want to congratulate all the fall student athletes on a fantastic season. All the teams just seem to do so great this year. And also want to wish luck to the London High School football team as they will be traveling tomorrow to play in the second round of the playoffs against Watterson over at ODU is where they'll be playing that game. And then also to the Pride of London High School Marching Band, and they're going to go to compete in states on Sunday. So before I get to the fun fact, Election Day is coming up Tuesday, November 8th, and I just want to encourage everyone to get out there and vote and have their voices be heard. So on to the fun fact, which is number 4,649. That is the total number of food donation items the Madison County Mayor's Committee was able to receive during the Be the Challenge countywide food drive last month. These items were distributed in the communities where they were raised and collected. The City of London was able to donate over 1,000 items to the Help House and over 1,000 items to the London Food Pantry. And I do want to thank everyone who donated items, and especially London Elementary School, who kind of teamed up with us and donated over 1,700 to 1,800 items. We were able to bring in almost 2,200 of the total items. And when we were going around and dropping those off, they're talking about how they're having a tough time getting canned goods. So, you know, how supply chains are. So, you know, it's starting to be that time of the year, the holiday season. You know, we did that can drive. We did a great job with it. But always please continue to support the Help House and London Food Pantry for those that just need a little extra help, especially during the holiday season. So that is all I have. I appreciate you, and I thank you guys.
All right, thank you. On to old business. We do have 3 tabled items, Ordinance 14622, Ordinance 14722, and Ordinance 15122. And those will continue to be tabled. There isn't any new information on those. On for the third reading, Resolution 18922, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 18922, sponsored by Anthony Smith, a resolution authorizing the Board of Public Utilities to enter into contract for East Side Trunk Sewer Engineering.
Okay, and Anthony Smith is not here this evening. Is there anyone else? Rex, do you have anything on this?
We talked about it at the last council meeting. That's a trunk line that's going to basically go from Lafayette across the back edge or the edge of the city limits over to High Street and then down and then to Sharp Avenue into, and then it'll get to a pump station, go to the sewer plant. Along with that, the pump station on Lafayette will be redirected to that new trunk line also to take some of the load off of the communities that are tied in to that. So it should alleviate some of the possible flooding issues whenever we have heavy rains that gets into our sewer system. So it is a great improvement, and it will help with future development in that side of the community.
And I believe you guys, when Steve Leilanic was here, he talked in detail. That was, what, 2 meetings ago, I believe?
Yeah.
The first meeting in October, so.
All right, and this is the third reading. We have any other questions on 189-22?
Move to adopt.
I think Greg has. a
Well, I just questioned with the discussion we had earlier tonight with Aqua, and, I mean, does that change anybody's perspective about doing this right now? He did mention, and this appears to be how this has happened, he mentioned that they do things incrementally, but, you know, cities and engineers take these big chunks. This is a big chunk, you know, so I personally like the thought of incremental and not big chunks, and I don't know that that discussion today would have changed anybody's mind or bring up any other questions that, about this piece of legislation.
Yeah. I know for, well, because we've discussed, you know, flooding issue and the flow of water issue for quite a while, and I know that we have put things off for quite a while, so I think that this is really good to put into place to get some relief from, you know, some of the situations that have been presented by not having enough lines going on out there. Rex?
We have meetings every week discussing this with Steve Leilanic and some of the engineers. And we're looking at right now with this getting passed and getting the engineers to get started. We're still not looking at being able to shovels in the ground till 2024, I believe is what
Yeah,
Steve
this
said.
is the engineering aspect of it.
So, and he, you know, he's hoping to try to get this moving so that we can meet that timeline. So any further delays could push it even further.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't wanna keep moving it down the road, we wanna, cause this is already behind the times. So this is something that we really needed to act on, and I think that's one of the reasons why we took it in such a large chunk. Because we took a look at things and saw that we needed to get them moving forward, and we had to do it a little quicker than slower.
I will second it.
Okay, so we've had a first and a second. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Eads,
No,
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
All right. On for our second reading. Resolution 192-22, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 192-22, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
192-22, this addresses the salaries, appropriating money within the fire department funds for salaries. The actual need at this point is $195,000. $50,000 of that's going to come from Fund 228, which is within that, and then the rest is actually going to be addressed by the ARP funds that are left over, and that's later on today. So this just is to increase the salaries or increase the appropriations for salaries within their fund.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? All right, what are our wishes on 192-22?
I'd make a motion to bypass three reading rule.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and second to suspend. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Okay,
Make a motion to adopt it.
Second.
all right. Motion to adopt, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Okay. On to Resolution 193-22, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 193-22, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
19322 has to do with the maintenance of vehicles within the fire department. They did have a few things, some slightly higher repairs than they expected to. This is again moving money within their own funds to reappropriate $15,000 for the maintenance of vehicles.
All right. Any questions? All right, wishes here.
Make a motion to bypass the three reading rule and adopt it.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Pitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Okay. On to Resolution 19422, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 19422, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
19422, just like everybody else's bills, their utility bills have went up also. Money's within their fund, just reappropriating money, $11,000 to pay those utilities for hopefully the rest of the year.
Okay. Our wishes.
Make a motion to bypass three reading rule.
Second.
All right. First and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Go ahead.
Second.
All right, so we have a first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 19522, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 19522, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
19522, if you're keeping score at home, that's number 4 for me right now. This is for gas and oil for the fire department, also just being reappropriated within their own funds for $7,000. The auditor expects that to be enough to cover them for the rest of the year.
Okay. Our wishes here.
Motion to suspend three reading rule.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt it.
Second.
First and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Peters,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Lost my place.
Thought I got skipped.
All right. On to Resolution 19622, motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 19622, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
19622, which says professional services for the fire department. This has to do with the funds that are paid to the billing company that takes care of our EMS services. This also means that our services have been used more this year, so this is an increase because our EMD service has been used more, we have to bill for more. So there's $15,000 being reappropriated within their funds. I move that no, I can't do that. Rich, go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion we suspend the three reading rule.
Second.
All right. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
All right, resolution 19722, motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 19722, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
19722 to increase in the pension lines. There is a pension line within there, so it's just increasing the appropriations. They are anticipating some buyouts by the end of the year, and they also have 5 full-time firefighters who either have or will be moving on by the end of the year. This is out of 18 full-time firefighters, so when this happens, we have to make some extra payouts, I do believe. So this is just allowing that to happen.
Okay. And our wishes here.
I make a motion to bypass the three reading rule on it.
Second.
Okay, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
And a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt it.
Second.
All right. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Yes.
Robinson, Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt.
Yes.
All right. Resolution 19822, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 19822, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
19822, it's number 7 right now, 19822. Using the unused ARP funds to fund the fire department, we've already given them $800,000 this year. This is money that was left over, it has to be spent. There's $145,253.54 left. This is going to be used to pay the salaries for the fire department.
All right, our wishes here.
Make a motion to bypass the three reading rule.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes. Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, first and second. Please take the roll call for adoption.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
just a comment on this, because I read this in the dispatch earlier today. We've used this money for our salaries. The city of Columbus had a much larger amount of money, and they offered early buyouts for police officers, and now they're looking at early buyouts for their chiefs.
Oh,
So
wow.
they didn't really fund their fire department, they just got rid of a bunch of people with their money.
Oh, wow.
So I think this is a much better use.
Amen.
All right, resolution 19922, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 19922, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
19922, we're moving on to the fire department now. This increases the pensions within the fire department. This
Police.
is from
This
the,
police.
or I'm sorry, police, you're right. We're moving on to police department, I'm sorry. This is coming from the police pension fund. We're just appropriating more money, it's already in the fund.
All right, our wishes here.
Motion to bypass three reading rule.
Second.
All right, and that is $20,000. We have a first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
1-2, resolution 20022, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 200-22, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
Once again, for the police department, this is to increase their oil and gas. Obviously, prices being what they are and officers being on the road, I'm not surprised this had to go up. The auditor feels this will be enough to get them through the end of the year. This does have to come from the general fund, as they're not self-funded like the fire department.
All right, and that is $15,000 for gas and oil. And our wishes here.
Make a motion to bypass three reading rule.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Eads.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes. Move to adopt.
A second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call to adopt.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
All right, on to Resolution 20122, motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 201-22, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
Okay, this is again for the police department. It says miscellaneous, so talking to the chief at the finance meeting, and afterwards, this pays for software and other items which are now a normal cost for the police department, but it's not budgeted that way. This line has not been increased for years. The costs are finally catching up to the police department. So when I talk about software, it could be for anything from their camera systems to their computer systems. You know, there's a lot of different things that are involved in this. Again, this does come from the general fund, or Fund 101.
Okay. Any questions on 20122?
Make a motion to bypass three reading rule.
Second.
All right. First and second, clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Clerk, please take the roll call for adoption.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
On to Resolution 20222, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 202-22, sponsored by Greg Eads, a resolution increasing appropriations.
I'm gonna need another bottle of water after this, I think. 20222, maintenance of vehicles for the police department in the amount of $5,000. Part of this was to pay for the repairs of a seized vehicle, which we are going to use as an unmarked vehicle. They should not need to get an unmarked car in the coming year, which I think they may have budgeted, or at least thought budgeted, for somewhere between 15 and 20,000. So this was a newer vehicle, I believe a 2016, I don't remember the year, make, and model now. Not that we want to give that out if it's an unmarked vehicle, right?
Right.
But I think it was a 2016. This is going to be better than a beater with a heater, as we mentioned last time. This does come from the general fund or Fund 101 in the amount of $5,000.
Make a motion to bypass the three reading rule.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes. Motion to adopt.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call to adopt.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt.
Yes.
On to ordinance 20322, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance 203-22, sponsored by John Stahl. An ordinance amending ordinance 21521 to reflect a range of salaries of department heads and non-union personnel.
If Rich could talk to that, my voice isn't doing so well tonight.
Okay. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Just real fast, so you guys know we do union contracts. You guys understand that. You guys voted on those, over a year ago. This year, union contracts are 2.5%. So to help keep the gap between our department heads and union employees, these are 2.5% increases on the ranges of non-union and department heads. So it's a 2.5% increase.
And that's 2.5% increase on the minimum and a 2.5% increase on the maximum of
Correct.
each salary.
Correct.
All right. Any further questions here?
Make a motion to suspend the three reading rule.
Second.
All right. First and second to suspend. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes. Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call to adopt.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Hitt?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Eads?
Yes.
All right, 1-2, ordinance 20522, a motion to read by title or number.
Motion to read by title and number?
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance 20422, sponsored by Andrew Hitt,
Oh,
an
is it
ordinance
four?
amending official zoning map.
So this is to change the zoning from M1 to PUD. Involves the property that's encircled by Cherry Street, West First Street, and the railroad tracks out on by the football field on the west end of town. And the plan is to build storage units out there.
Okay. And this will need a public hearing, correct?
Right.
And our last meeting, we read that this was going to have a public hearing date for December 1st meeting. However, the information, we did not have that posted, so we want to make sure we stay within our time constraint to notify the public of a public hearing. So this public hearing will actually be scheduled for December 15th. All right. Any further discussion on ordinance 20422? Okay, 1-2, ordinance 20522, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance 20522, sponsored by John Stahl, an ordinance amending official zoning map.
This is for the corner of Maple and East Center Street. You want to build a, I can't think of what you call it. Bed and breakfast, yes. It's covered, goes over to the tracks down to the storage units down that way. And it also needs to have a public hearing on it.
Exactly, so this public hearing, we announced at our last meeting would have been December 1st meeting, but this will be on our December 15th meeting in order to allow time to notify the public. All right, 1-2, resolution 20622, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 20622, sponsored by Rich Hayes, a resolution authorizing the administrator to execute necessary paperwork to have the City of London join the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission.
Yes, this would authorize the City of London to join Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission of Central Ohio. They support cities. They do regional organizations that envision and embrace innovative directions in transportation, energy, housing, land use, the environment, and economic prosperity. They also serve as a lobbyist capacity, which can be very beneficial to the City of London.
All right, thank you for that. What are our wishes on resolution 20622?
Make a motion to bypass the three reading rule.
Second.
All right, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call for suspension.
Robinson?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Hitt?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Eads?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
And second.
Okay, first and second. Clerk, please take the roll call to adopt.
Hayes?
Yes.
Hitt?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Eads?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
All right. Now on to our new business. We have resolution 20722, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 20722, sponsored by Josh Peters, a resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio Public Works Commission.
As the mayor mentioned earlier, we were awarded the OPWC grant for $700,000 to be applied towards the storm sewers.
There's a deadline. Is there a deadline on this?
In
Yeah.
November for this, yeah.
Yeah, so we asked that, we want, I think we all want to do this project, we don't want to get it done, this is,
So haven't we already
This is a,
applied for
this is
this? We haven't applied for this?
We applied for this for the grading to see if we scored well enough to be considered.
Okay,
We did score high enough to be
Right.
considered. Now we're filing for the application.
so now we gotta apply for it to,
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
okay.
And so, you know, with the free $700,000 and a 0% interest loan, I think this is the best way to fund this project as we all want to continue to improve the infrastructure, especially the storm sewer infrastructure.
Right.
So, we asked that it would be suspended and passed, just in case the next meeting, there's only 5, and then we would be unable to suspend and pass at the next meeting. And then we would probably have to ask for a special meeting, which then you're getting into Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
So we were, so we just thought maybe we could just knock it out tonight.
Right. And this is really, important here, especially, like I said, with the storm sewer, because this is something that we have been talking about, like some of the other pieces of legislation here, and now we have a chance here for $700,000 of grant money and a 0% interest loan. So this is, kind of like our wishes coming true, this money coming through for us to get some of these things done for our infrastructure, to improve
And
it.
can I say
help
just
with
one,
the
can I
growth
say
of
one more thing real
city.
fast?
Yeah.
So, remember, OPWC, that's when the Madison County Mayor's Committee gets together, and we all throw out projects and kind of take turns on what we're gonna do. The 3 villages were like, hey, we're gonna go and do small government funding. And I talked to Brian, because it was kind of between the county and the city of London. I said, hey, we just got this back. We really need to try to get this thing going, and that $700,000 would go real far with our project. And Brian, the county engineer, was very nice and said, hey, you take this year, we'll do next year. And I just want to thank the West Jefferson, Mount Sterling, Plain City, the county engineer office for all just working together so well, because this could really be a cutthroat process, but for us to come together the way we do and them see, hey, London does need this right now, we're just going to step back and let them run, is just a fantastic thing and great collaboration and partnership between everyone in the county. So I just wanted to say that on record. Thank you,
All
Henry.
right, thank you. And Mr. Eads?
I don't know if this will matter, but when I click on 20722, I get 20822, and also on 20822.
You need to go,
Just when I click on our website, they both say 20822. I don't, so it has the wrong number here. If anybody's looking at that, we do have, I did see it the other day, so I know on our link it was correct.
Okay.
Just when we go onto the page here on the city council on the website.
If there's no other discussion on it, I'd make a motion to bypass the 3 reading rule.
Second?
All right, first and second to suspend. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Hit,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Second. All right, first and second for adoption. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hit.
Yes.
And on to Resolution 20822, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second?
Clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 2822, sponsored by Josh Peters, a resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to apply for a loan.
This is for Rex to apply for a 0-interest loan. Over 30 years, this loan will not exceed $1,821,650. As Pat mentioned earlier, this loan would be funded through the storm sewer fund payments.
Yes.
So I just have a question on that. So if we're going, we have money there. I don't remember what that amount is now. But if we're going to pay for a 0-interest loan, this is going to equal $60,721 and some change every year. Do we generate at least that much to pay for this loan?
I think it's, the stormwater utility generates about 300,000 a year.
Okay,
So stormwater utility generates 300,000 a year? I don't know if your mic is on. Just wanted to copy that.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Just want to make sure we can pay the debt.
10-4.
Thank you.
Make a motion to bypass three reading rule on it.
Second.
All right, first and second for suspension. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Eads,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Motion to adopt it.
Second.
First and second for adoption. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eads.
Yes.
On to our round table. We'll begin with Mr. Stahl.
I apologize for my voice tonight, as my wife says, when I can't talk, and there is a God. And I I'm sympathy with Josh and his family for their loss this week. And we got a lot of good things passed tonight. I'm glad to see us moving along.
All right, thank you. Mr.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mr. McDaniels for arranging the presentation tonight. Some interesting information. And everyone else that's here that's showing an interest in the city. That's it. Get out and vote this coming Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hayes.
I'd like to thank all city employees for jobs well done. I'd like to thank Mr. McDaniel and, I'm sorry, sir, I have to look at your name, Mr. Mancari, for coming out tonight. This looks very, very interesting. Thank you for bringing it. Thank you for coming out tonight. As been mentioned, voting is a privilege in this country. A lot of people died so you could do that. So go out and vote Tuesday, November the 8th. And go Red Raiders. Big game tomorrow night. Many of you, as you can, get out there and support them. Ask the Lord to bless the city of London and all of its inhabitants, and watch over us and keep us safe. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Ms. Robinson.
I don't have a whole lot. I appreciate you guys bringing that information. It's interesting to get another perspective. Same thing with Rich. Go Red Raiders. Get out there and support them. Put in a lot of time and efforts to get to this point in the season. So show our young men some support.
All right, thank you. Mr. Peters.
I just want to remind everybody, next Wednesday, November 9th, Finance Committee meeting.
Okay, Mr. Eads.
Yeah, I've got a few things here. Where do I want to start? Well, let's start with the $750,000 neighborhood revitalization grant that hasn't been mentioned tonight. For Ward 3, I know a lot of people worked very hard on this. I know the administration worked on it, and I believe, what's his name, Whitaker Wright worked on it. But without the community involvement, the people that showed up, the people that actually may have went out and talked to their neighbors and tried to get some of these boxes checked, because there was, I only went to one meeting, so I'm not taking any credit. Anthony Smith should take a lot of credit, and any
Right.
council members that showed up should take some credit for helping with the process. But I do know that they had surveys that they wanted residents to do, and they had to say that they may clean up their yard or do things like that. So very specifically, a few of the names that I remember, Mr. Michael Norman was obviously involved. Steve and Mariah Miller, I believe they were involved pretty heavily. Brenda Russell, and I had the lady's name just the other day, the lady who lives in the house here at First and Walnut, the Purple House. I believe she was showing up to quite a few meetings, and I can't think of her name off the top.
Debbie Cochran.
Debbie Cochran, thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yep, couldn't remember that. So I just wanted to thank everybody for that. I think that's going to be a great help for the people down on the south end. I do want to thank Mr. McDaniels, maybe for being persistent, because he's brought this up numerous times. He did go out and talk to this company and brought them here to give us that information today. I do appreciate that. And Mr. Castle, I have a question for you. I meant to bring it up at in your section earlier. Last night at the service meeting, you mentioned that there were things out for bid, including the solar-powered crosswalk indicators. you mentioned that there were people that had contacted the city for that, and also, and I don't remember if you said how many for that, but then also for the demolition of the building next door, that I think you said you'd had like 12 people that asked
Correct.
about that. However, here's my question. We started out, Michael Norman came to a safety, or a service committee meeting, I believe, maybe it was safety, I don't go to safety, so it must have been service, and brought up an idea to have pedestrian crosswalk signs where lights were removed. Specifically, that was 4th and Main, 2nd Main, Westmoreland High, Union and High, Oaken High. And that kind of stewed for a little bit. And then later on, at another service meeting, the discussion was, well, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it for more. So it was also mentioned, I pulled up the minutes so I could look at this, putting additional signs at Elman Park, Main Park, Midway and High, Elman, New Hampshire, Elm at St. Pat's, and Elm at London City Schools. And the last discussion that I remember having, that's where I thought we were going with this. But I found out that in the bid packet that was put out for people, it only mentions 4 intersections now, which were, I believe, High and Union, High and Oak, Main and 4th, and Main and 2nd, and those are the only 4. So my question is, I don't know how we got to the process that we went from 5 or 6 at one person's suggestion up to 10 or 11 at the city's suggestion, and how we got back down to 4.
It's called, we ran out of money. We had a loan of $900,000 to put the traffic lights in and crosswalk stuff in. The traffic lights, the installation, pieces of equipment that needs to be used to calibrate the lights and so forth. We've gotten it down to where we did not have enough funds to do illuminated lights at all those intersections like we had hoped to. There will be signs at those intersections, but they won't be the illuminated type signs. The illuminated ones will be at the 4.
So clarify how we ran out of money. That was for the signal lights, that cost more? Because at one point, we had $250,000 or $300,000 that you thought.
The lights, the installation of the lights, then we had to buy as a city equipment to be able to work and calibrate whenever they're not working. The guys go out, they have to have equipment to hook up to those. So equipment was purchased by the street department so their people can go in and work on those lights in emergency situations.
So we went from 250 or so down to what?
I don't know off the top of my head, Greg.
Okay.
I know that the projected cost of illuminated lights on all those intersections was going to be probably in the neighborhood of $300,000, and we did not have that. So rather than pick and choose, the feeling was that the high volume intersections would be illuminated, and the other intersections will put signage.
Okay.
And that's, better than what we had.
And down the road, we can do more, right? But like he said, we had to buy that extra stuff, we had to buy some parts, so we have parts on hand for the new LED lights. And so with what was left over, and we all know, things that were a certain price 6 months ago or a year ago are not the same price they are today, so.
Thank you, appreciate the information.
What time?
There's that, and then also, thank you guys. Then also, obviously, the election that's coming up. Go out and exercise your right to vote, whether or not we all agree or not, go exercise your right to vote.
Amen.
All right, Rich, you have one more question on that?
I was just going to ask, Josh, what time is your meeting?
6 PM.
6 PM, okay. We got ours at 5. So I just want to make sure we weren't, okay, good.
All right. Just want to express my sympathy to the Peters family as well, and remind everyone, the election is November 8th. It is very important to get out and vote. Vote for those that you want to represent you, because the people that represent you are there to represent you. They're not there to represent themselves. They're not there to represent their agenda. They're there to listen to the people, to listen to what the people want, and to express the people's agenda for the people and by the people. And we had, thank again for Mr. Mancari coming this evening to speak with us about Aqua and the possibilities that they could afford to the city. And we had a really good discussion again last night about the fiber optics that can open up the quite a bit of avenues for the city as far as bringing in business and industry to allow us to have those fiber optics that they're going to need in order to communicate. So, and then again, thank you, Mr. McDaniels, for sticking in there and bringing what's important to the community to us, because that's our job, listen to the community and bring that back to the people. That's why we are here. So thank you again for that. If there be nothing else, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.